Welcome, everyone, to Somewhere in Between. I'm your host, Naomi Loud, and this episode is going to be a real doozy. So, buckle up. I don't know why I keep doing that face. So, buckle up. You can't see it if you're not on YouTube, but okay. So, this week I'm feeling very raw, soups raw. Okay. A lot is going on in my personal life. That's not true. A lot is going on in my brain. Okay. And we'll get into it later. But I just wanted to open up this episode by saying, I'm not quite sure where this is going to go. I have an idea, okay, but I'm just going to let it flow. Let go and let float. But I will give a few trigger warnings because I will probably touch on most of this. And sometimes I come off maybe slightly insensitive because it is my own trauma. And I cope with dark humor. Hee hee ha ha. So there most likely be mention of death, suicidal ideation, trauma in general, CSA. I'm not going to go into it, but there will be mention of it. Same for sexual assault. All of the above. Okay, I'm not here to dive into it, but I will be discussing. I'm mostly going to be talking about everything around that, okay? Because what I've realized is that trauma, even if you don't remember it, will affect your life in very specific ways, okay? I just want to say my special interest is myself. Go figure. In in the way that I've become my own case study because I am undiagnosed autistic, okay? And the reason why I'm undiagnosed is only because I'm lacking the funds. And also, I'm like, do I need another label to stick shit? Like at this point, I'm 37. I have so many. I've done everything to like make my life easier when it comes to like just existing, that I don't think that an official diagnosis is going to help me in any form, type of like, So, but just to give context, my therapist, she couldn't diagnose me formally, but she was like, "Yeah, girl, you probably are." Um, so why is it? Oh yeah, special interest. Um, so that's why I'm saying that I sort of became my own special interest in the way that I wanted to heal in the most, I don't want to say clinical way, because I did really make a point to feel all of my feelings, and this is also why that I consider myself highly emotionally intelligent. Um and because I know that I have what I want to call almost a gift of being able to vocalize those emotions and talk about them and dissect them. I've been told before in the past that like I tend to be able to vocalize things that people can't put words to. So I find that it's almost my like duty to speak on those topics. Um, the real OGs, the one that used to follow me back when I had my other account, my like witchy astrology account, will they know I've talked about this multiple times before. Trauma is not something that I am afraid of. Dissecting oneself is not something I'm afraid of. And I just want to point out also that, so me saying that I like to dissect my emotions sounds a little clinical, almost like I distance myself from these emotions. Don't get it mixed up. I feel those feelings first. I really go in the thick of it, dive real deep, and then I come back up and say, "Huh, I can actually explain these now." You know what I mean? So there's the feeling of the feelings first, then the clinical like dissecting of it afterwards. And that's where people get it wrong, because a lot of people know how to sort of dissect and clinically explain their emotions, but that's just it's just from a safe distance. They intellectualize them. Okay. And that's a big no-no. That's a big no-no. You can't, literally can't intellectualize feelings because they do not exist in your brain, they exist in your body. That's another thing that I discovered in therapy, and that's how it kickstarted my case study when I was 27. I went to therapy because I realized that I had been abused when I was younger and I didn't remember. And that's a whole other story. I've talked about this multiple times before already, but not on this platform. But all that to say that when I went to therapy when I was 27, my therapist was like, "You don't feel your feelings in your body. You're just explaining them in like metaphors." And I was like, "Huh? What?" And then I realized I had a really severe case of body dissociation. I dissociated quite like literally all the time, right? So it was quite scary to then have to go back in, reel back my dissociation and actually exist in my body. And that's when the real work started. You can't be dissociated and actually heal. That's like the first step, guys. First step. And I find that a lot of people get stuck there because it's a lot more comfortable. Hello, obviously it's more comfortable. And also, the thing is that a lot of people fear their emotions, um, which I do not. Did I fear them when I was younger? I don't want to say I feared them. I think I just didn't understand them and I didn't realize how suppressed I was and repressed and traumatized. Um all throughout my 20s. Well, all throughout my childhood, all throughout my 20s. And then when I went to therapy, which once again, one of the reasons why I became my own case study is because um I knew I couldn't afford therapy for long. So I went for just enough for him to give me like all the key points. And then I didn't know it back then, but it was a very autistic trait to then that became my special interest. Emotions and memories and the link between them and the link between the body and trauma in general um, and healing and all of that became my special interest for a decade. So that's why I do consider myself a little bit more evolved when it comes to understanding emotions. I didn't start there. You know what I mean? I didn't start. I didn't start as emotionally intelligent, especially because I was raised by two emotionally immature parents. So, okay, so all that to say that, yeah, I became my own case study, and dissociation was the first thing that I had to figure out. This links me back to, I don't even know if it links back, but this in my head, this links back to what's going on right now this week with me, little old me. I realized, so when I started healing and realized that there was a lot that I had repressed, and the thing is that because I only had one single memory of my trauma when I was younger, I had to become a detective when it came to what was my triggers, um and where did my anxiety come from, and also I don't necessarily recommend this book now because of the author. You can look it up, but The Body Keeps the Score was a huge thing for me. But the thing is, I don't actually recommend that book because I did this. Okay, I've been told before that the way that I heal is very unlike most people. And when I was younger, I would get really impatiently annoyed with people that they couldn't just fucking get it together and heal their fucking shit. Because anytime that like, as soon as you tell me there's an issue, as soon as like you tell me like, oh, this is a problem that needs to be healed, I'm like, fuck yeah. one more thing to put on my to-do list, and that's my homework, you know what I mean? And I, like, literally I, like, have no fear when it comes to go to just fucking dive in, which also led to a depression, guys, okay? So I don't recommend this. Would I do it differently? No. It was exactly how I needed to do it. But the thing is that I think that I was, like, so sick of feeling sick and knowing how mentally ill I was that I was like, "Fuck this, bro." And I just did it. So I know that it's not for everyone, okay? Some people need to do it much more gentler, but that's just not how I roll, apparently. And I knew this reading The Body Keeps the Score that I most likely would trigger myself because it's very heavy. It's very, like, trauma heavy. It goes very in great detail on other people's sexual assaults and how it affected their own body, because that's the whole point, is that I the whole point of this book is that the body remembers things that you don't, which is still valid to this day. And because I didn't have much memory on my own trauma, I was trying to use my body as a map of what the fuck needed to be healed. So I really got into chakras also, and for only the reason that, like, it was able to give me sort of a map on, like, okay, well, according to chakras, if you have issues with your sexual organs, or if you have even just, like, a skin condition, or your anything, like, basically every pain that you could have was linked to something, and it was linked to something mental, right? So I was able to heal a lot of my own trauma in a very backwards way, where I was healing my body. And the thing is that, okay, stay with me, okay? Trauma is like a layered cake, okay? So let's take my initial trauma, okay? My initial trauma happened when I was 3, 4, 5 ish. It was like an ongoing thing, but it was happening when I was, like, mostly asleep. So then, even if mentally I didn't remember, okay, because my brain was like, that's too much for her. That's too much. So let's just, like, lock that out. So I don't remember most of my childhood because of that, because memory is not selective when it comes to trauma like that. If your brain decides that it's gonna, like, uh protect you, it's gonna just take away most of it. So I don't remember most of my childhood. There was, like, black holes. However, that doesn't mean that your subconscious has forgotten. And so the thing about, when people are like, they're like, "Ugh, I know this is a pattern of mine and I just keep repeating it," right? Like, I don't know why I keep doing that. It's like, oh, I don't know why I keep dating the same men, is one of my biggest example, because a lot of people have the same trauma or wound of, like, not being fathered properly, right? And then you tend to date men that are similar to your dad, unfortunately, personality wise, right? Even if you don't realize it. And I did it. Most of my friends did it. That's a big one, you know? But to come back to the layered cake, is that, like, basically what your subconscious is going to make you do is that it's going to try to repeat the trauma and hope for a different outcome. Hope for a resolve, hope for a positive outcome, right? And if we go back to the men thing, that's why you keep, or we keep dating the same men over and over again, hoping for a better outcome, a positive outcome. But what tends to happen is that you just get re-traumatized. Okay. So then the initial trauma, okay, then you repeat the trauma unconsciously. Same or similar outcome happens. Guess what happens? You get re-traumatized. Then you do it again, and then you do it again. It becomes this layered cake, okay? Layered onion or whatever. And when you start healing, what's interesting is that you're gonna start healing from the last trauma down. So, like, for me, my initial trauma happened at childhood, but but then I traumatized myself again, and for me, it was a sexual trauma, so I was just time and time again putting myself in very dangerous situations, and then I would be like, "Whoops, got raped." Sorry, that was very callous of me, but it's true. God. It happened twice, okay, where it was a very unconscious thing where it was like, well, unconscious literally and subconscious also, where it's like I was passed out or I would put myself in situations where I was literally blacked out and things would happen to me, much like my childhood, okay? So then it's like, "Oh, whoops, traumatized again. Whoops, traumatized again." And so when I started and then I went with the double multiple 100 whammy and then dated my ex who traumatized me multiple like daily almost, you know? So when I started healing at 27, which was the year I got married to my now husband, which I don't think is a coincidence because he gave me this like I needed safety to break down. Like looking back, that's what happened. I needed safety to break down. Found the love of my life, didn't know it then obviously. Discovered what unconditional love was, didn't know what that was either. Felt very unfamiliar. And then when I realized, holy shit, I'm safe, my brain was like, oopsie, it's time for you to heal. And that's when I started remembering, and that's when I really went through it. Poor guy. He was like, "Who did I just marry?" No. I need to stop saying that because that's a whole thing. That's another thing, but that's something I need to unpack in therapy is that I think that I'm like a burden to my husband. Um so my therapist says that I love unconditionally. I give everyone unconditional love except for myself. Yay! Love that one. Super easy to fix. Oh, and that's the thing is that I feel like the things that I'm now healing from, because I consider me healed from my trauma. I'm healed from most of my trauma, but like what's lingering is those really, really deep wounds that are like fundamental to my personality, like that, like that I don't give myself unconditional love, and I'm super, super hard on myself and very strict versus I'm so chill with other people. I'm like, "Oh, you're just perfect just like you are." And when it comes to me, I'm like, "Oh my god," you know? But anyway, to come back to the layered cake, it was this crazy ride of like starting to heal. And so the most recent trauma was my relationship with my ex. So then I started healing that and I started unpacking that. And then whoop, as soon as that was like semi done, something else was revealed. And that's what like and this is why people say like or I say also like healing is not linear because of trauma and because it's a layered thing. So like you're like, "Oh my god, I'm doing so good. Oh my god, I'm doing so much better." And then your brain is like, "Well, it's time to, you know, peel the next layer." And then you're like, "Fuck." Fuck, you know? And then you have to like heal all over again. And it's a really, really, really fucking exhausting process. And I understand why people don't want to go through it. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do otherwise? Just be unhealthy? Like let's fucking heal, guys. Let's just all do it. Let's hold hands, love each other and fucking heal, okay? Anyway, I started this video because I like this episode was supposed to be about how I discovered uh this week that I most likely have this like very specific OCD called false memory OCD. It's not funny. And yet again, it's not me trying to like diagnose myself. It's just that like I like to just find these labels, not to put it on myself, but just to be like, "Oh, there's I can like there's words to it. There's words attached to it. There's a description, you know what I mean? Like and and maybe I'm not going to get really into, maybe this is for another episode of like what how I quickly made the connection between a bunch of stuff of why this OCD happened. And but I'm going to talk about one thing is that I got so upset when I found out yesterday. Like I typically don't really like I'm at a place now that I'm just like, haha, I'm mentally ill. Like I know that, you know what I mean? As much as I try to fucking heal myself, like I know that I'm always gonna have CPTSD. I know it's like things that it's like you can't, like there's certain things that you can heal completely, and there's certain things that you have to heal in the way that you have to just accept that it's a part of you. And that's a really hard pill to swallow, I find. Like knowing that I'm always going to have PTSD is fucking annoying, you know what I mean? And knowing that like this like OCD tendency that I have is most likely not going to be I'm most likely not going to be able to heal it. It's just like finding the tools to navigate them. And that's also part of healing, is finding all the tools to navigate all these bad feelings or all these things that are bubbling up, right? But I think the reason why I got so um sad about it yesterday was that I'm just like so exhausted. I'm just so sick. I'm just so sick of it, basically. I'm sick of discovering things about myself that are not my fucking fault. And I think that's what it is. Do you think that I just decided to have OCD? And this is why I don't want to like diagnose either. Like, and I'm sorry if I'm just using that word like that, but like it most likely is this, but it's like not something that I was just born with. You know what I mean? Like the reason why these behaviors started and the way that my brain is now fucking wired is not my fault. It came from trauma, literally, and multiple trauma. Like a bunch of fucking things happened that made me use that as like not a security, like a survival tool, right? Almost everything about me that was wrong wasn't my fault. You know what I mean? It's like I didn't ask to be abused. I didn't ask to be fucking traumatized multiple times. And it's just like, oh, but now it's like my turn. It's like I have to deal with this. You know what I mean? And like even the simplest things, like I like in therapy lately, I've been telling my, like something that comes up often is like me telling my therapist, like, I just wish that I had normal parents, like, because I'm like basically an orphan, but with like parents that are alive, you know? And like, is that, I don't know what's worse, honestly. Um, and it's like wishing that I just had a normal upbringing. And this like falls into like me feeling sorry for myself. And yeah, there's times that I do feel sorry for myself. I'm a human. And this week is, oh, you see, I knew that I was going to be a little bit all over the place in this episode, but it's just how my brain works. The layered cake thing and not remembering. This is why I wanted to talk about it. I was feeling real rough this week and I was like, why do I feel like insane? Like I'm not feeling well, you know? And like I've told you, um I've like I don't like feeling your feelings is not a weakness, it's a strength, right? The thing about like not remembering your trauma completely and the whole like your body remembers what your brain doesn't kind of thing is that you also have to like allow yourself to feel even if you don't know why. So like when a lot of times we're like, oh, I don't know why I feel like that. That's fine. That's fine. You don't need to find the words for it. You just need to feel those feelings and allow yourself to like let the wave crash, because you're always going to come out of it. Like trust me, bro. You it will feel like drowning sometimes, but you're always going to come up for air. And you're always going to feel much better afterwards also. And so I it's a habit of mine of just like, okay, well, I'm feeling really weird late, like right now. I'm just going to like, I guess, feel it. But because I'm also my own case study and this kind of falls back into the false memory OCD apparently, is record keeping. I have a lot of journals, guys. I know a lot of things about myself, and one thing that I wanted to the one thing that I discovered when I was really going through every single trauma is realizing that, like, without me doing it on purpose, a lot of these big events, like a lot of big events in my life were happening almost at the same time constantly. They would reoccur every year. Like October was a really bad month. April was a really bad month. And and then I was like, fuck, that's so weird. And then so the weirdest one is that so April 22nd. So we are April 24th, I think, the day that I'm recording that. Yeah. So it's April 24th. I've been feeling crazy all week, especially April 22nd. For me to then realize that, like, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot because it's not every fucking year that this happens. But like, for some reason this year, something needed to resurface or I had to feel some feelings. But April 22nd is a huge day for me when it comes to a trauma related to my ex. But um what's really crazy about April 22nd though, guys, and I really don't find that this is a coincidence, is that I because I'm insane, I was going through my every year trying to remember what I did that day because yet again, record keeping, because I don't remember much of my childhood, I've become slightly obsessive when it comes to keeping things on paper. April 22nd, 2012. Horrible day for me mental wise. My ex was horrible to me that day. Felt it was a very traumatizing day for me. Okay? The next year, April 22nd, I didn't realize that I did that when I did it, but I had been no contact with my ex, and I actually reached out to him that day, not realizing that it was the same day, and end up crying at a Burger King. No, it wasn't a burger. It was a Harvey's. I think that's a Canadian thing. Anyways, I was eating a burger and crying in public. Very moon and cancer of me, guys. Guess what happened the next year? You're never gonna guess. Which I feel was the universe trying to heal me just a little bit. You know what I mean? April 22nd was the day I got engaged to my husband. And I didn't do it on purpose. And we didn't even do it on purpose because it was a very specific way. We got engaged very specifically where he was getting his permanent residency with his ex. When we met, they had broken up, but she had agreed to continue doing the process with him. But he was like, well, I don't want to do anything really public until like, I don't want to like publicly say anything that we're together or whatever. Like back then that it was like Facebook. Just in case, you never know. Like he just wanted to be like safe. And so we had talked about getting engaged early on in our relationship. We got engaged really fast, guys. It was like 9 months in, but we've been married for 10 years. So it worked out. But he was like, the day that I get my permanent residency, is the day that we'll get engaged. And I said, deal. And so April 22nd, he got the call, he got his permanent residency, and then we got engaged. Anyway, so all this to say that life is crazy. Life is wild. And I don't think that was a coincidence. So all that to say that this sometimes it's still resurfaces, and this week was not a good week for me, and I was like it took me a while to sort of pin that together. So like for the first couple days this week I was just like, well, I'm just feeling like this, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I'm just gonna write it out. But knowing that there's kind of a reason behind it, and that my subconscious is most likely just processing things, it's just like, it's like removing the gunk, really. Does it make me feel better, not quite, but it relieves a little bit of the anxiety, I guess, like it's nice to have a bit of an explanation to things. October, like I mentioned, October used to be a really bad month for me. It's not anymore, but like at least I knew when October would come up and I would start feeling really bad, I would be like, just write it out. You know what I mean? Like, and this is the thing too, is that I've really, because I've had to ride things out in that way, um, I'm it's really taught me that you really do get through everything. Like the old adage of like the only way out is through is real and annoyingly true for a reason? I could go on and on, and I feel like I just blacked out talking for fucking 30 minutes, which happens when I talk about this subject. So, if this resonates with people, let me know and I can continue talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, this has nothing to do with this topic, but I was thinking about just the podcast in general, and I've been told multiple times, like, the way that my brain works and the way that I create, like, I really have to create from like what I want to do first, you know? Duh. And sometimes I feel like this type of content, instead of like, let me talk about one idea or concept that is away from me, that is disconnected from me, just like the two first episodes, like, Digital Dark Age and Whimsy in general, whatever. They're interesting, but I find that there's more, I want to say there's more power to my words when I speak from this position, or not position, but you know what I mean? If you're enjoying this episode, please hit the subscribe button, like, share, tell a friend, tell two, tell your grandmother. I don't care really. Just tell someone. Tell someone that I exist, guys. Please, I need to be perceived. All right, well, I hope you have a beautiful week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.